Okay, there we go. All right. How is everyone? How was our week? Everybody have a good week?
It's good, except I'm out of technology right now.
Uh-oh, you still can't hear us?
I can hear you, but like every other word, it's the weirdest thing. And I just went out and came back in again, and I'm like, come on.
It says your
Aw.
iPhone's network bandwidth is low.
Are you
So
in an,
Right,
check your signal.
which I don't understand. Hold on a second. This is
are you like on a porch or something, or?
my wife. I'm gonna be mad. Hmm?
Russia, man, they're getting in the way of everything. They're hacking everything.
Oh,
Are
God.
those putzes?
I think we're the least of their worries.
Whew. Don't drink the tea yet. Burn the mouth.
Well, let's see if this works now. It's on.
Yeah, I have not turned on the news yet today. So is Kyiv still standing? Is it still under
I haven't
Ukraine?
seen anything since early this morning.
It is right now. They're about 17 miles out from the city. They're stalled right now. The Ukrainian people have literally lined the streets to one of their nuclear plants to not let them through, because they basically would have to kill all civilians to do it. So they've done that. They've been
Wouldn't put it
stalling
past
them
them.
because,
The badasses to do that, though.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
oh
awesome.
my God, they are badasses. I'm telling
I know.
you.
I don't know if I'd have the courage to
what,
do that.
They're just, I don't know. I think if it was be defending what I lived in now versus going under Russia rule, I think I'd have to find the courage. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. We would. We would.
Yeah,
Well, I tell you what, it kind
we
of,
would.
Biden has made it clear, I mean, not just last night, but all along that, and so has NATO, that we will not send troops to defend Ukraine. And so basically,
We can't.
Putin's gonna take Ukraine. So it is like the Ukrainian is the living sacrifice for democracy, right? Because by this attack, it's actually
Like
pulling
Nazi
all of
Germany
the
all over again.
democratic governments
see it.
together. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's going to be.
All right, can we
Germany's
talk
gonna
about
be a
good stuff?
sacrifice.
I don't want to talk about this.
Okay. It is-
So right
his-
there, let's,
Or I'll just walk out.
no, just see right
Okay.
where we are right there. So when we talk about things or do things or whatever, it immediately has working offline error. Why? Okay. It immediately has this effect on us. Like you can feel it vibrationally. You can feel it like within your cells, your mood, your energy, like everything starts to go like in an up and down. And that's what we need to learn to start to get like a more positive control over, like having that ability to shift. And I agree though, like we have to be aware of what's going on, but the media, the news, or whatever,
love
it can
to talk.
go.
I do
Yeah.
love to talk about it. I do love to be, I mean, but I've been doing it majority of the day, the majority of the past couple of days. And, I just met with my lawyer and I've had 3 days of horrible shit going on with my ex-husband. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm
you don't
done.
need
I'm
more.
here for positivity. I just like, I don't need any more neg
Yeah.
energy.
No problem. No
Too much.
problem. I mean, this
Too
is
much.
not really the forum for that kind of discussion, but I'm going to pin it on Ashley. You brought it up, Ashley.
I
I'm
know.
happy to be
I mean,
scapegoat. It's all good.
talk about
Okay.
it all day. It's like, all right, I'm
All right,
done.
let's go back to, let's revisit just for a second. So last week with forgiveness, was anyone feeling kind of like I was? I actually carried that with me, like for a couple of days. Like I had an emotional positivity from that actually like resonated with me in my behavior, in my mood. I actually could feel it. Like I could feel that release had happened. And that's kind of where the power comes. The power comes from doing that kind of an exercise, feeling it, kind of going through the emotions, whether it breaks us down in the minute, whether it emotionally crashes us or really lifts us up, whatever it is. But then as you feel it and process it, that's where we're starting to gain that power back. That's where we begin to get our direction or our healing or our consoling, or the ability to then remember we were doing that like re-engagement with the next person, if it was someone else, or re-engaging with love for ourselves. So on some level, I don't know if anybody else felt that, but actually feeling those emotions, feeling that all going through for like the next couple of days is what you want to recognize and you want to keep kind of building on. So did anyone else kind of have that reaction? Like you kind of felt it like resonate with you for a day or two after
It
the
definitely
call?
resonated with me for a bit. And not in the sense that it actually kind of just opened my eyes a bit to like maybe a path to go forward.
Yes. Did
Yeah.
anyone act on it? On what their forgiveness, say it was with another person or something? Did anyone actually say,
Maureen, we're waiting to hear from you.
I'm like, aren't y'all waiting for me? Because
Yeah,
yeah,
girl.
just so you know, this is like, I hope you can hear me. This is
Yeah, we
like,
can hear
and
you.
I've turned my video off because I can hear you better when the video is not on. So I don't know. But yeah, she was the nicest person in the world. And I was ready, ready, ready. And it was like, are you
You
kidding me?
manifested it.
Are
Oh,
you
man.
kidding me?
So you were silent. You didn't have you felt like the opportunity
Did not
was
have the
lost?
opportunity. No, did
Hmm,
not. And I was like,
interesting.
what is going on?
Maybe you
I'm like, do you
brought a
have like
different presence to the dinner.
Yeah.
Maybe you bought a more powerful presence there.
Yeah.
Like
oh,
you
maybe I
had more of
did.
control of
Yeah.
your
Like
of
that, don't
yourself than
mess
the
with me, biatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I mean, as you know, like we feel shit from other people. So how
Well,
you
that's
carry
true. Maybe
yourself
that
in.
was it.
Yep. I mean, you walk into a room and you or walk into like that was a dinner or something. When you walk in with presence and like your own confidence and stature, people
Mhm.
immediately view you differently. It could be respect, it could be fear, it could be like joy to see you. It could be any of these things, but they react to how you bring yourself there. So there's a possibility you were ready for her and she sensed it and was like,
Yeah,
this is
sure.
awesome.
Well, then I got to remember what I was doing to keep doing that.
Well, I would suggest just be ready for the next time.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to
Wholeheartedly.
happen.
Yeah.
Oh,
You'll
I
be
think
ready.
so, but I am going to be ready. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad. Anyone else have any like reaction or well, Colleen, yours was already kind of resolved, right? That was your like the whole transition, the issues with your mom and all that, and
Yeah.
going back in and
Specifically, yeah. But I also talked about forgiveness of myself mostly.
Mhm.
So yes, usually, I mean, not even just that, but usually after doing this together with all of us, it in general resonates with me for a few days and I get right on target with yoga and meditation and I feel generally good, but it was
Good.
a bad week for me because of
Yeah,
my
all the
work.
other tension stuff that's going on. But hopefully you'll begin to get some more tools within yourself and be able to be powerful within that rather than reactive and
Yeah.
pulling in and letting the stage run over you.
Yeah, even yes, reactive, perfect
Mhm.
word.
Which is what, yeah, we either act or react.
Yeah, and even my lawyer was great with that because she put that on to perspective. And she said, don't project in the
Yeah.
future. Like
Yeah.
she really put me in, she reads me really well. She knows
That's
that I'm
good.
tendency to react and have high anxiety. And so she completely read me and I walked out of there feeling a hell of a lot better.
Good. Good. Empowered.
Yeah.
Yay.
Excellent.
Laura,
Yeah.
how are you?
She's far away. We know that.
Yeah,
On
sorry.
the other side of the room.
I ran into the kitchen to get some feta cheese to put on my salad.
Very nice.
Yum.
You know, I would say you know, mm, the forgiveness thing didn't really resonate for me that much because I'm pretty forgiving, not only to myself but to others, and so that hasn't really been the issue. But you know, aside from that, I actually, you know, did finally get to launch a little bit of a job search. And I also ended up going to the doctor twice because my blood pressure has been sky high because of the stress. And also because a result of all of the champagne and cheese and pizza and, you know, all the high salt foods that I ate while I was partying my brains out. So yeah, it's been kind of an up and down week for me health wise. I finally got rid of the headache, but they had to put me on another blood pressure medication because I was up, you know, 175 range, which is really way too high for anybody's health. So it's back down into a good range now, but unfortunately, you know, I've got this extra med on board now, and I'm just going to have to see what happens in the next couple of weeks if I'm able to get off of it or if it's going to be a permanent addition, which it might be because I've been on the same medications for 20 years and eventually, usually they stop working at some point and you have to switch it up or add something else. So I don't know.
Right. Well, as you get back into your rhythm and as we go further, like the detox is going to be amazing for you. So as we go in, and I don't know if everybody got the email, those who are willing and want to go like really deep in the center, we're going to do some other things. And as we start to correct our metabolic function and get things healthier, that's when all our numbers start to come down, or if they need to go up. Some people's numbers are too low and need to come up. Some are really, really high, need to come down. So those are actual, the markers are tested and known. So you can see as you start to go through certain things. I mean, the 3 weeks isn't going to correct anything, but it's going to start a path showing that there are results that happen in those 3 weeks as you start to really go into it. And like I said, those who are willing and really want to kind of like go in hardcore in the middle week, we're going to do that. But so let's
I accept the challenge.
Good. Okay. And I will lead the challenge. I'm ready.
Yeah, now that we know how to handle 2 tablespoons of ghee.
One, Laura, one.
We don't even have to do the ghee. We can even go, that's going to be, let's mark that as traditional. We're going to even go in a little bit deeper path than that. So, and I know you girls are going to be willing. So, all right.
No
Let's gather
ghee?
all.
Gee,
Yes.
no
No,
ghee.
we can do the ghee too. The ghee
Oh,
is
no. You just said we didn't have to.
well, that will help get us into more fat metabolism over sugar metabolism too. So that'll help get that glucose out of the bloodstream. We got a whole biological kind of an awareness we're going to go into in the beginning to show why we're doing things and in what order and why they work, as opposed to not doing these for long lengths of time. So
I have one question before you get rolling. You know, I've always read and as a nurse, you know, understood that muscle burns fat.
but
But
you're
I
in the
have-
third stage.
I have a girlfriend who said, nope, fat burns fat.
It's a stage. So you have to get your insulin. Your insulin is going to spike. Certain things you eat, certain things you do. Your insulin's going to spike, turn into fat, goes into the bloodstream, back into the liver into the liver and the tissue for using, like your body, once you start to go into that fasting stage, wants to search for the good fat. Then after it produces the fat, then it actually goes to the muscle for the energy and uses the fat that has converted into the muscle for energy. Then it uses the muscle fat for energy. So yes, but that's the third step in. So it is true. I actually can give you a link to, I'm going to put it in our detox, a link to one of these great, cool doctors who found fasting and intermittent fasting, all that through 30 years of testing on his clients, because his patients rather, certain things weren't working and like drugs brought things up, and he did all kinds of testing and then finally went in and tested and is finding what is working and why it's working. So I'll give you the link to
Ooh,
that.
yeah, I want that link.
It's
Yeah,
really cool.
That sounds interesting.
Yes. And Ashley, we're going to go into you as well, how you can, even being pregnant, really benefit from the cleanse and the old traditional way of so much eating and so much comfort and all that. Sometimes not you, because you're in a beautiful weight right now, but some people that like eat and do all this, they actually are physically disturbing the makeup of the baby as well.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
you,
exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
yeah, and you want you to be in optimum health and you want the baby in optimum health to go through the delivery. And physically, the baby is kind of developing at the same way you are carrying her. So that's going to be really fun. So we'll go into that on a little thing.
Awesome.
So, all right, let's just get into a little bit of where my thought and where my brain was going. So I was kind of taking us down these through topics like the last couple of weeks. We kind of went through, we were talking about love and acceptance of ourselves, like way back, like 4 weeks or 5 weeks ago, like before when we were doing the gap and the gain through the holidays and all that, like learning for our own acceptance and what's going to go on in the holidays and all that, and give some, take some and all that. And then we went into the importance of the circadian rhythm, how vitally important that is for every aspect of our health. So we went through all that, and then we got into the shadow and the doubt, the shadow issues and the doubt on ourselves, and how we have to do like regret mining and all of these things. So we're coming through an awareness path of how we physiologically and psychologically are made up and how we put together and how this affects everyday life when we, generally speaking, run through our day, task, or job or phone calls or whatever. But all of that that's going on, if we haven't really gotten a grasp yet on the dinacharya or the rhythm, the habits, the circadian rhythm, how that's supporting us and how our lifestyles can be really adversely affecting us, or they can be a benefit because we're already supported. So as we go through these different stages and start really going, so through the shadow issues, finding out inside, going in, and then figuring out that from every regret and every shadow issue we have, the learning experience opens up more opportunities to give us better results, to make us start thinking, okay, how did I get there? How can I do this again in a better way? And also it starts to open up, our circle gets, bigger and bigger. Then we went into forgiveness, because you have to, like, once you start realizing what those shadow issues might be, what the doubt of yourself is, or the surrounding people, again, it's not only say, so the 5 people around you that are your influencers, it really generates from those 5 people, their 5 people. So it's really kind of cool. You're getting this influence around us from all of these people. So as we determine whether that's serving us or hindering our growth, that's when we start to make shifts and change of like, so, well, maybe I need to find a new posse, or maybe I need to find a new something, or I'm changing and my people are falling away. Like all this starts to become too aware to us. Like our old habits were supported by these certain people. Now, as I'm changing, they don't either don't want to be around me, or I'm kind of finding they're not serving my general purpose anymore. And that's when growth comes in. That's when we start to like awaken and go like, this is the old path. And it's really easy to stay that way. Super easy to stay in the path because it's familiar, it's known, it's comfortable, it's easy. But as we push ourselves, like we're going to do in the cleanse, we're going to start here right where we are. And then as we go through it and we start to come out of it, we're going to gain an empowerment That's going to add to this list of what we've already been doing. And then we're going to add in all the fun of like different foods or not, aromatherapies. We're going to do massage, like all those normal things, because that's going to support us. I mean, normal things in a cleanse, not normal things to most people, but we're going to do that as a supportive, but we're also going to challenge our bodies to not do certain things. So that's where the fun begins. So today, after we went through forgiveness last week, I kept coming across this, and it's just been in like the last 5 days. Certain things are happening like all around me, and we're not going to get into it, but what's going on in the world, what's going on in our backyards, like what's going on everywhere. I keep coming across people who are getting really sick or really having issues. 2 people this week, well, 2 weeks ago, but it came to my knowledge, had massive strokes. Someone else had some blood disorder, like things are going on. And when you kind of think, what's happening in the body, what chaos is going on in the body or in their life or in their mind. And these are like, one is a orthopedic surgeon, high like performing medical doctor and golfer and active and walks and does all of this. But what the stress is doing to the body, or like what it is and what we make ourselves do without having choices, but we really do have the choices. So as I was thinking of all these people and what's going on in the world and all, what do we have the freedom and the choices to do for ourselves? Like right, our path, our journey, our food, our relationships, like what is it? So, and it's like freedom from things is like when you say that I go on the freedom to have the freedom away from something, that's like a bondage or something hard. But when you have the freedom of choices, that's when you get empowered. Like that's when things start to shift, and that's when you become aware. Okay, I do have the change, because sometimes like I can be the weird one, and well, okay, not sometimes, most of the time, the weird one in the group that, oh, she only does certain things this way, or she only eats that way, or whatever. But I've made them my choices. I have the freedom to choose what I want to do with my life, with my health, with my intelligence, like with everything. Anything that we have the choice to do. And so if we have the choices to do things we want to do, just for a minute, okay, think of the word choices and the word freedom. How do you feel? Like, what do those words make you feel like?
Lucky.
Very good.
Empowered.
Mm-hmm.
And
Any other-
grateful. Yeah.
All right. So those, yes. And it's kind of it's a light feeling. It's an empowered feeling. And those are emotions. So emotions, because we are able to be and live and do what we want, the freedom of choices, but we have freedom and we have choices. So every day we have choices. So we can have choices to do things really hard, or we can do things that subject us to harm, or we can do things that are really easy and stay comfortable. And so this awareness of the words freedom and choices just kept like kind of resonating with me. And so those words, so if you were to take choices or freedom, which one feels lighter to you?
Freedom.
Freedom.
Okay. What about you,
Because
Paul?
choice can be heavy.
But
I don't know.
choices
I feel
to
like
me, choices to me, freedom is like this beautiful word that we use, but choices was lighter for me because I understand I have the choices. Like choices that's our given right to choose and do what we want. And because we live where we live, we have more choices. But every day we get these choices to have emotions or have the ability to do something, like I said. So when we choose certain words or certain things, there's emotions attached to it. And then again, what do those emotions do to us? Do they empower us? Do they freak us out? Do they give us anxiety? Do they make us like want to stand up and like, be excited. So like these emotions really have a direction for us. And somebody's beeping. I thought somebody was joining
Not
us.
me.
Sorry. I could hear it in my headphones. So as we're going through these, like we have to keep thinking of ourselves, like, what are we choosing? What are we choosing for ourselves? So in this course or in our mindsets, we're choosing better options for ourselves so that we can kind of progress this way instead of staying stagnant or going, down. So we're choosing like happiness, and we're choosing to perform better in work or choosing better relationships. So within having the choices, so everybody think for a minute, and some words have like really heavy, either they have baggage with them or they resonate really hard with us, like love, money, freedom, another one. So if any of those kind of have some kind of a stigmatism to you, like think about that for a second. Like, why is it? What are we doing, or what has our past done to create something around that word?
Yeah, I love the one choice. It's funny that you say that what your past brings about you, because I think, when I think back even to childhood, some of the more domineering personalities in my life took choice, and I was constantly at odds with that. So I think being an adult and having the choice to do certain things the way I want to do them
Yes.
feels very free to me, and that
Yes.
actually brings me freedom. So,
Yes.
which is opposite,
Beautiful.
I guess.
Yeah,
But it's funny the way you
That's
just said that.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. So, and then they create vibrations in our body. So what we're trying to get to is creating the vibrations, the feelings, the connections with us in this choice of freedom. We have the freedom, but perfectly the way Ashley just put it, but we have those choices. So everything we're doing during the day, like someone is very like reactive, say a pitta is in a very high strung, things are going on, things are going bad, things are going in one direction or something. And a pitta's fire is going to make them agitated, irritated, explosive, like all of these things. But if you understand, you still have the choice to react, to act or react or hold back, so that all these things don't happen. Vata is going to be very emotional, very anxious, very worried, say like when things are going on. But as we build these tools and build our strength within us, we know we can again become reactive. Like I used to be more active and more like spinning, and my mother's very Vata in that respect. She's always like, she's a mom and she always worries, but sometimes she worries too much over nothing. So it's these choices that we have to start turning it on in our brains. We have the choice to turn those on or turn them positively or negatively, like depending on what it is. And those choices give us the power, and they can turn on or turn off those vibrations in our body, which are going to either create disease or start to filter away disease. They begin to build up in our body or pull away in our body. Like all this shit goes on inside, physically, biologically in our body, depending on our thoughts, our emotions, and the choices we make towards these. So it's friggin' amazing. Someone said the other day in another class that I said, yeah, but what you eat and when you eat and all that, that's not always true. And there's so many like, skinny people out there that are eating, Skittles and all this stuff all the time. Well, that's called skinny fat. So some of the people are very, very skinny on the outside, but because of those habits, or because of sometimes a very skinny, like tall person like that would be traditionally like a Vata. So their anxiety or their whatever that's going on in their body and eating all those things inside metabolically, there's usually lots of decay and fat around their arteries because of the platelets, the way that the platelets react. When we have agitation, the platelets start to like form in our red blood cells and they actually get sticky. They bind together, and then that can cause a clot. But on the outside, these people are like thin as a rail and tall. But when you go into their organs or into their nitric oxide levels in the body, things like that are all, not always, but more times than not, the metabolic function in their body is less than perfect.
So you're saying anxiety
Absolutely.
causes the cholesterol to,
Everything, because you get the spikes in your insulin.
Mhm.
And as the insulin, and as you keep yourself, so someone who's anxious all the time, that insulin, because of the reactiveness, so you could be eating Dunkin' Donuts or be super agitated, anxious, worried, or whatever. The body is still, it keeps doing the same reactive hormone. It keeps spiking your insulin. So then if you're the person eating the donuts or whatever, and you keep eating them or doing the every 2 hour diet, like we were told to do forever and ever, the insulin never gets to come back down again. And it has to come back down again, like to be in proper health. So as it keeps going up, then we need more insulin to get to the point where it's allowing the glucose out of the bloodstream. And that's when we get into insulin resistance. But all this on the outside, you could look like one person or look like something, but the chemical reactions due to the stress level or our anxiety or worry or agitation, it's screwing up the inside, especially like a Vata person like that, or say the Pitta person who's having everything's just running through the person. So they're not getting the minerals, like they're breaking down their bones just from like that acid and that metabolic like fire that's going on. So these aren't things that we think about all the time, that how we choose to talk, to react, to be kind, to not, to perform at work, to allow someone to break us down, like all of these things, they interfere with our metabolic health. So this week going forward, if you happen to see those words, anywhere, or you write them down, like Colleen, you could write them down in your beautiful calligraphy or somewhere, like freedom and choices. Like we have the freedom and the choices to act, react, gain confidence going forward, choose something to eat because it's easy and we want to, or it's harder not to eat it. Let's try not eating it, or whatever it is.
Or drinking it.
Or drinking it, or let's not go to bed at midnight, for whatever, all the time, whatever. It's probably a better choice maybe to shoot towards a 10 or 11, like silly things like that. You think don't do anything, but they do. Or you get in a fight. Like I have trained myself so out of that, like reactive Vata anxiety or worry or reaction to like a strong Pitta, kind of something coming after me, like being this, Colleen, being in the cooking world. A chef usually like spews venom at you and curses and goes crazy. And then 10 minutes later, they're like, oh, wait, let's have a cup of coffee. Like all of that reaction on some people really go in and disturb. But I've gotten to the point, like my boss used to say things 5-7 years ago, and I'd be like, oh, shit. And then I couldn't find this stupid Excel sheet because I got nervous, or I got like, yeah, wait, or, my Google Doc wouldn't open, like something stupid like that. Now I'm like, yep, I got it. So how was your golf game this morning? Give me 1 minute while I'm working. Like I've chosen to no longer be reactive to those situations. And I can just kind of most of the time, like calmly chat through things or whatever, or let someone spew venom all around me. And I'm like, are you finished? This is my side. Like it's a learned experience, and you have to start going through. But the more you choose, and like we said before, as you feel those responses that are those trigger habit rewards, as you learn that trigger, holy shit, here comes the boss. That's my trigger. And the habit's going to be, he's going to spew venom for a minute, but my reaction to stay calm, that's my reward. The more you feel the reward, that's the more it's going to happen in your favor. The more, and it's usually the harder thing. So I challenge us to try to do the harder things to build the body, build the personality, build our emotions up to a point where we're constantly serving ourselves now. So we have that choice. We have the choice to perform at a certain level, and we really don't have to be reactive all the time to our circumstances around us, people around us. And as we shift, you start to empower more people around you because they see it. And then you kind of gain this different level of interaction with other people because they know they can't get that reaction out of you anymore. And they don't even have to say it, or it just happens. or you begin to, you just begin to change the way that you are taking your path, and then it physically makes changes for the better in your body. So
A lot of the times other people don't see your reaction anyway, because it's internalized in you.
Yes.
You're not the one being verbally outward.
Right.
You're the one
Right.
who's taking it all in and being quiet, but nonetheless getting all wound up on the inside.
right.
People
But
don't
but the body
that.
sometimes will show a little bit of that physical reaction to it. Like I probably had like, oh, or whatever, or,
Face.
but I immediately could feel the tightness in my chest. I immediately could feel like, oh my God, like the hair standing up on, or if you're starting to get in an argument with someone, and now I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave this situation for a minute. And when you calm down, I'll come back in. I'm like, look, now we can talk like humans. Okay. Are you ready? Now I'm here. Where before you get reactive, you yell back, you scream, you yell, this one goes that way, you go that way. Now it's like, I don't do that anymore. So when you're ready to talk, I'm coming back in. Just walk away. Like you start to begin to understand your choices, and you have that freedom to do those choices because it's you, it's your life, it's your body. So do we want to stay kind of comfortable? And society has told us, as we age, we're supposed to age and these things happen to us. It's not true. Like we have that ability to keep aging with grace. And if you really look back into Eastern philosophy and all, the body gets better as it gets older. It's not supposed to get decrepit and then your mind fall apart and all. This is because of what we have done to ourselves, as we start to get older. So all these things that, dementia and the different heart issues, or lack of the ability to exercise anymore, or not wanting to leave the house and all these things as you get older, they are a choice you made 10 years, 20 years before. So as we understand right now, we have the choices to do certain things that are going to carry us going forward as we get older. That's when the lore gets a little bit better. Like, do I want to look that way when I get older? Or do I want my brain to be decrepit? Or do I want to have vibrant relationships still with the people around me? So these are all choices. And as we take these choices and take these steps going forward, and we make kind of the awareness connection that these emotions are physically either making us well or breaking our body down. And the more, especially stress, the amount of stress we put on ourselves and society has done, it is breaking the body down in every aspect. So the more tools and the more things we can kind of stay more connected to, like an Ayurvedic approach, Eastern medicine, Eastern philosophy in general, like pay attention to a little bit of massage on your body. It's moving your lymphatic system. It's actually toning your muscles. It's giving you that touch, that like we did in the very beginning on like a little bit of self-love, trying to eat rhythmically, like spacing your meals out, all these things that are accustomed in other traditions, we've gotten so far away from, but we don't have a stress relief. Like we just go. And then if we really need a stress relief, it's either a really stiff drink, a pill, or, something that the doctor prescribed, something like that. But we can train ourselves and actually evolve ourselves into something stronger, that those things are then just for the fun of socializing with someone rather than like what we need. So
You just mentioned like moving massage or whatever in your lymphatic system. Is that something that's important that would benefit you like daily? Caitlin bought me this 2 like amazing massagers for Christmas.
yes.
And I used it once. So I like pulled something in my hip or whatever. It was great. But I use it every day. Is that just moving things and
Everything. Yeah.
something that's good for you? Like
so good for you. So as we go through the 10 different habits, when we get to self-massage and all of that, like the dry brushing, the lymphatic, like moving that. But as you start to move the tissue in your body, you might not even realize, say you were really, really stressed at work or stuck like this, you might not have been paying attention to that during the day or physically at work, like when you're working. And when you take that, like you could take less than 5 minutes in the morning and really massage you're moving the blood into the tissue a little bit deeper than it just superficial. So you want to get everything going, and
Forgot
helps
about that.
create-
I want to try.
yes, nitric oxide, like we want to open that, we want to get that vasodilator going so it carries more oxygen to all the organs. Because as we start to let some tissue, or, especially me, like, so now I sit a lot more than I used to. So I go to get up and I'm like, oh my God, my ankles or my knees, because all the gravitational pull is like kind of all the blood flow is going down, but I'm not moving enough to keep it up and down. So then I have to remember to like stand up and dance for a minute, or jumping jacks or something. So all of that dry brushing, all of that massaging, like move the tissue, like move stuff in your body as much as you can. That all creates, we want energy to flow in every direction, and we want the channels open so that things don't get stagnant, all which will add to better health. And believe it or not, as we do that and it goes up and down into the brain, we're increasing brain, the capacity to deal with the good blood flow and stuff that we want. So that all just adds to that general health.
That's why sex is really good for you, right? Having sex
Absolutely.
every day is really good for you because it gets your blood flowing and all that kind of stuff. Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Wish I had a partner. Oh well. I don't need a
Well,
partner.
well,
Who needs a
I
You
partner?
don't need a
I mean,
partner,
if you
girl.
don't have
You
a-
just need batteries.
If you, I'm calling
Just
Bob.
batteries.
Bob is the battery operated boyfriend. That counts, right?
I thought it was just
Oh my
a
God, that's
toy.
so funny. Bob, I've never heard that.
I never
That's
heard Bob.
amazing.
I thought it was
Yeah.
I'm
just
telling everyone I know that.
Bob is my boyfriend.
What about Bob?
What
How's
about
Bob?
Bob?
Oh,
How's
that's
Bob?
classic.
I'm gonna post that and see who gets a giggle. How's Bob today?
Oh, there's a movie. I think it's Bill Murray. It's called What About Bob?
Oh,
what
that's
I was
right.
thinking.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Never heard that. I love it. Oh, okay. I wanted to go into, but we don't have to do that. I was going to break us out into a room, and you want to do it for like 4 minutes
Do what?
What? What are you
Okay,
gonna do?
What?
into a breakout room, and we're going to say, so going forward, think of all the steps we got to. So now you have, everybody could just think for 1 minute of who, because we all have our own trajectory, like who our new superhero of ourselves, who we want to be, like who are we getting to, like what are we trying to get to in our own life? Who is that person? So we have the choices. Again, we're thinking choices and how it's going to affect our body, our digestion, our health, our mind, our promotions at work, our relationships, whatever it is, like wherever we're going. I want you to think of like where you are right now and what choices you're making right now of what you're doing. But if you had, now that we think about it for a minute, we have the choice to do something a little bit differently that's going to start to get us towards this. It's usually a harder choice that's going to start getting us closer to our outcome of who we're trying to become, or what we want to see that next stage, our next, we keep having stages, I don't want to say in life, but in our development. What is the next stage? And what is like one choice, something you're doing right now, and how can you change it? What is your next choice? So I'm going to put us into rooms, and you can just say, like each one of us can just do 1 minute and tell the other person like where you are right now and what choices. We'll do 2 minutes. What you're doing right now and the choices you're making to stay right where you are. It's happy, it's safe, it's comfortable, whatever. Now, that little superhero over here that you're trying to get to, what choices do you need to get to that? So I said before, like my example was, I would stay anxious and nervous and allow like, and he didn't even mean it as much. He would come in and like start barking, and I immediately would get anxious and nervous and whatever. And that was at the time, it was my choice to react that way. Then as I got smarter, my choice of becoming a more empowered person changed and became less reactive and all that. So think of something of that new person or that next stage of your development of who you are going to be. What easy, comfortable choices are you making right now, day to day, that are keeping you right here? And what does this next development, this next stage, what different choices can you make to get there? All right, so you're
So we
each going
have
to
to-
talk.
You have to figure out what it is we
Interesting.
have to do to make that change.
Just, you can even just think of what changes you could make. What choices do you have? What new choices are you going to make to get you closer to that? It's going to make you think for a second. But so one
It is
person will
making me
talk for,
think. I'm not sure. Yeah.
so one person will
Hmm.
talk, then the other person is going to tell them what they heard again, and then the next person talks, next person says, and then as you hear the other person tell you what you really said, again, that's when you start to resonate with it. And I'm going to jump into the rooms.
Man, I'm frozen again.
No, come back.
I know. This is so fun. So, okay. I'm gonna try it.
You get frozen, Mel? I think Maureen got locked out again.
You can hear me. Okay, good. So,
Oh, you're there?
I heard
Okay.
I
it
can't
for a
see anything.
second.
I can't. That's crazy. All
All
right.
right.
Okay. So anyway, and I don't know if this is what Debbie was referring to, but about being the forward person. Like, I'll use an example of my daughter. I was on the phone with her yesterday, and she can always make me extremely reactive because she's so anxious and she has ADHD. So when she has her moments, I totally disengaged myself yesterday, and I tell you what, I'll let you go, and why don't you give me? Usually would just dive into it with her. I didn't go there, and I felt
Nice.
that I actually, it made me smile because, and I want to put my video on. Forgive me, but I don't want to freeze again. But
Oh, it's okay.
it made me smile because wow, I'm proud of myself. I'm not going to do this with you. I mean, I love her to
That's
death. Don't get me
awesome.
wrong, but it felt good, and I was proud of myself.
Yeah, and so like that, what you're working towards. I'm curious, like, how do you feel that? Like, do you know kind of what you're working towards yet, or who you're working towards being?
I am. I'm
that
working
applies.
towards like just being that calmer, and a little bit more in the moment person, but not to what Debbie said, not to react, but to take it in first, then decide. Like, is that worth me getting upset about? No. Whereas before I would jump into it with her and I was like, oh, I did not let that ruin my day. I'm really proud of myself in that
That's
sense. Because I
awesome.
just want to be that person that's not diving in when, to somebody else bad moment and bad day, and keeping my good feeling going, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Because that's what I want
No, it
for me,
definitely
is the
does.
calmness.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it sounds to me like you want your life to be more calm and that you absorb the emotions of others around you a lot. And you just kind of want to be able to let it roll off your back a little bit and say, okay, you're having a day? Great. Sorry, good for you. But moving on with my day. I'm okay. I'm not going to let it
Right.
shift my energy. Right. It sounds like that's what you're saying to me a bit, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
I know. And then I didn't realize it. I got home and I went, oh, yay, I'm proud of it. So it did it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, jumped in one room, ladies. It was very, very good. All right, I'm gonna join the other room. Ashley and Maureen are doing beautifully.
Yes.
You could
Yeah.
help Bratz doll.
So here's my future self. Meet Mirabelle. And so like I said, she's physically fit and active. She's a healthy weight. And she's also, like I said, humble, kind, sensitive, and respectful to the thoughts and feelings of not only her family and friends, but her colleagues professionally. And people like being around her because she makes them feel good and she's fun to be with. So that's me. At some point, hopefully soon.
Well, I'm supposed to come back and say something back to you. What I hear you say, and as you started out, you repeated a lot of the things that you want that, you know, over the past 5 classes that I've been privy to. You sort of say similar, same things. You talk about your weight and how you want to be more respectful of other people and stay with your communications and whatnot. But what I'm hearing tonight, and I felt like you got a little emotional for a second. I feel like, oh, and you talked about your weight going back to your childhood. I feel like a lot of what you're trying to accomplish or your feelings on all this seems very deep rooted to me. That a lot of it traces back to your childhood, because you mentioned the weight, but you also have talked about your mother in the past. So I think a lot of the things you're going through is very deep rooted. So I don't know if it's like really a quick fix type of situation. I think it's
Well,
going to
clearly
take a
it's
lot.
not.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot more emotional digging to get to where you want to be. But you know, what you're doing now is great, because this is a great step. It seems like what you've done with your Maribel, is that her name? With your daughter?
Mirabelle.
Maribel. You've been in the seat before. You've tried to tackle a lot of these issues before.
I've
Clearly,
tried
you've
so
done
many times.
that.
You
Yeah.
know, it's surprising. I just haven't given up. Really.
But I could clearly, just by this conversation just now, this past minute, that a lot of what it is you're going through seems very deep rooted from a long time ago. That's what I'm hearing in your voice.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
my mother insisted that we clean our plates. We eat everything on our plate, and when we would leave things on our plate, she would pull out pictures of starving children in Africa and show them to us and say, you have the privilege of eating food and these kids don't. Don't you dare leave any food on your plate.
It was that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Was this like a nightly event? Like, was this often?
I mean, it wasn't nightly.
Well, we can. It's easy to do that.
Hey there, Deb, did you just join us?
I did.
Hello, Deb.
We're just
I just
finishing up.
joined. I popped into the other room and I popped into this room. Sorry, I didn't know that
we had
the
good conversation on our
Yeah.
future shows.
You
good.
know what I always do?
I know we do. I'm like, hey girl, I love it.
Yeah, and I just hit it randomly. You two, I don't know what it just.
I know we always wind up. I'm like, it's
I
in
know,
the
I love
cards,
it.
Ash. It's in the cards.
I know,
Oh.
seriously.
Oh, good. You have your little superhero in your mind of like in what direction you're, because it can be with anything. But I just popped into the other room and they're going in like kind of deep too. It's making Laura like really pull out of
Mhm.
like what she really needs to hear. And it's always better to hear it from someone who just heard you say it.
Mm,
Like we can say something to
Right.
someone and it's just going to go like this. But if you say words and start saying more, you kind of you already forget what you said. Like you're not thinking, you're just saying. And then as someone repeats it to you,
Yep.
then you're like, oh, I really said that, didn't I? And I really must feel that, or that's really what I want, or that's really what I don't want. So that's why these are so fantastic when we come in and we talk to each other. especially like sometimes you have the timer on and it's like a 2 minute something and you're just supposed to go blah, 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 blah. Like just keep talking because you keep like you almost have a script for the first 30 seconds, like because someone told you the question, you got a script
Yeah.
going and then you've got more
Right.
time. So you have to keep
Right.
going. And as you keep going, that's when stuff starts to come out almost not on purpose. So that's where
No,
you're
and
kind of get to.
yeah, and it's helped me just like I feel like we just get to be real. I mean, I know this sounds stupid when I say that, but it really is. And I tried to explain to someone, I'm like, I just get to be me, but I get to be really the good, the bad, the ugly. And I'm okay with sharing it so that I can better myself. I
Yeah.
said, and it feels good where
Same.
it's like, oh, and then there's no guilt to what I was thinking or feeling.
Yeah. Well, we have this ability to kind of like protect ourselves by telling
Mhm.
someone what we want them to hear about us or know about us
Mm.
or see us for. But then as we get a little bit of a comfort for a second, or like I said, you have more time, you have to go deeper. Like we did down in the workshop where we would do this. You had to talk this one for 4 or 5 minutes. So you had to keep reaching. Like I had to keep going in, and bunch of these people that I was with, the guys, the girls, whatever, I didn't know them or whatever. And so you want them to see you as this person. And then you're like, oh shit, more shit's coming out. Like, here's where it comes from. This is
love
where
that.
it's generating from. So that's when the real truth comes in. That's when you start to resonate with it, is when you start to have to say it. And then the person says, they're calling your ass, like they're calling you out on it.
Oh yeah.
They're giving it back to you. And you're like, oh yeah, you're right. Yep. Stamp it right on me. But that's when we can see it so we can make a change. If we keep it buried,
Exactly.
it's comfortable, it's known, it's nobody else has to deal with it. Like, but the only way to change is to bring it out and address it. And the only way to do that
Yeah.
sometimes is, saying it, but then have someone reiterate what you said so you hear it. So
I
that's why
love that.
we go this deep, and that's why we do. And the more we do it, the more you'll feel like, okay, there's more in there. There's more coming out.
Yeah. And it really
No,
teaches
but it
you to
also helps
listen
us
too.
build more, inner peace
Mhm.
too. As that we were talking about, I don't know. It's really nice is the only way I can say it.
Yeah.
It's just really
Yeah.
nice. So I was looking back at my
It's
notes because
helped
I wanted
me,
to ask something.
Mo, too. It helps me like be a better listener too. Because I think to
Same
Deb's point, like
here.
you always have that little script, and you're like, because I do this on work calls a lot too. Like I'll be on a big call and I still get nervous. If I have to talk in front of like 100 people, I get nervous. And so
Mhm.
I'll be like the whole time waiting for my little part of the agenda, thinking about it, practicing, go. And then I'm like, I didn't hear anything else that was going on. So I just was waiting to do my little piece. So it's funny, it like
Mhm.
trains you too to listen and just be able to kind of speak on the fly too, which is nice too. It's like good.
Right. No,
practice.
yeah. I think it's great. And I agree with you because I always wanted to like throw in an idea or opinion when in the middle of somebody saying something, and I've learned to just be quiet.
That's the hard
Mhm.
part. Yes. As we
It
do
is,
these.
but I've had to teach myself like, okay, be
Oh
quiet.
yeah. I've
Listen.
become much, much better listener.
Yeah.
They say something, you get a thought, you want to add to it. But as you
Mhm.
do these liberating structures, they're called, as you do them, if you really do them right, like if you're in an open room where you can kind of see everybody doing it, you really have to, if it's that other person's time to talk, you're only allowed to listen. So you
Right.
have to listen.
Right.
And then you start to listen better because you're starting to look at them and you're starting to like really eye contact. And so these are really, really powerful. Very good. Let me, I'm going to leave you girls. I'm going to see, because they could be
Okay.
finished.
And I actually have to pop off. It's right after 8. I have to
Yeah.
jump today a little bit, but
Yep. I'm
Bye,
going to,
sweetie.
you're back. Okay.
yeah, I have to pop off, but I love you.
I love you too, honey.
Tell me this thing isn't going to work again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Oh my God. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my phone.
What a bummer.
Maybe it's time for a new one. Well, every time I try to do the video thing, then everybody freezes. So I had to leave it off.
Oh yeah.
We're back. Debbie, you were my hero. I said you were my hero. But everything you said just resonated with me because, yeah, just
Well,
anyway, I'm
at
not gonna
some
be
level,
intimidated by the ex-husband. I choose not to be intimidated. So
yes.
it was sort of the same.
Good girl.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we do. We start to recognize anything we do during the day. So I think it comes out to be like thousands of choices during the day, all throughout the day. We're going to choose A or B. We're going to choose kindness, hatred, good, bad, reactive, not react, like whatever. Sleep, exercise, eat, don't eat, like whatever it is, all day long, we have these choices. We have these choices, to be reactive. I thought I heard the door for a second. So this cracks me up every time. So Kevin is very reactive. And if he's driving, which he drives all the time, and I get it, he can be very frustrating in the trucks, those big trucks, out on the road, there's traffic, everybody's on their cell phones now. So nobody's taking off at a light. People are driving slowly and stuff, looking at their phones or doing whatever. And it aggravates the hell out of him. So most of the day, he is still giving people the finger. And he came home last week and was saying stuff. And I went, people still do that? Like people actually still like give the finger and do all those gestures and scream
Oh, I've done
F you
that.
out the window. And he's like,
I've done that
yeah, I do it every day. I went,
every day.
I said, you do
Yeah,
it
that's not
every
good.
day?
That's a
He goes-
road rage situation.
He goes, yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I said,
Because
"That's
when
not
you
good."
do that, it's if you've ever been taken down low enough to do that, have you done that? It's
Probably
like
years
blood,
ago.
it's kind of blood curdling rage.
Yeah.
And you do that all day long, every day. That's not good.
That's
That
what
is
I
not
said.
good.
He's like, oh, isn't that normal? I went, no, not really. But
No.
now since like I kind of said that or whatever, he's like, well, then I laugh about it because it gets them all hyped up. I'm like, I said, but it's not good for you.
No.
Oh
But I was
my
just shocked
Lord.
that
See,
people
here I
still
would
do
never
that.
it. I'd afraid somebody has a gun.
I mean, it just happened to me yesterday. I was like driving to work at 6:30 in the morning, and my boss called me as I was getting into my car here and said, "Are you almost at work?" She lives like 5 minutes from work because some guest needed something, but I'm like 30 minutes away. I'm like, no, I haven't even left yet. So I knew, and I was running a tad bit late. I knew by the time I got there, she was going to be there, and I was feeling anxious. 'cause I
anxious.
didn't want her to know I was going to be late. So the whole drive up until the bridge, I'm stuck behind some dude that's thinking it's some 95-year-old woman that's going so beyond slow. So I'm sitting crawling behind this guy. And finally I get to a point where I can sort of see
Just
him.
blow
or
by him.
touch him. Yeah, it was just some 30-year-old literally on his phone the whole time. So he's like driving, doing this, and he's going half the speed he should have been. And I finally
And giving you the finger.
really, dude?
Oh my
And sure
God.
enough, I was like, really, dude? I was like so pissed because he made me like an extra 10 minutes late for work. Anyway,
But and it got
gave
you.
somebody else the finger yesterday.
what's
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
You gave somebody the finger yesterday.
Oh, I did. Yeah. A driver. So
You
yeah.
know, I
Oh,
gotta
you are
say, I
hilarious.
don't know if this is like a northern thing, but I noticed that people up north, their driving behaviors are so much ruder than they
Oh,
are
yeah.
down south.
It's true.
100%.
It is true.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know why? Because 90% of them are Italian. That's one of the things. No, Italian. Hey, I'm Italian. I could say that. But Italians they're very gestury. They talk with their
Yeah,
hands.
they
They're
are.
very
Yeah, we are.
emotional. So it goes hand in hand. And New York.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You're a little harsher.
We're
When
a
I
little harsh,
when I
high
first
strung up
moved-
here.
When I first moved to South Carolina 25 years ago, I would have people, I was really taken aback, but people here from the South would be looking at me or whatever. I'm like, are you from like the New York area or something because of the way I talk with my hands, and I was more reactionary, and they're like, bless your heart. And like, I'm like, that was so not me. Later I found out that just meant fuck you in a nice way. But I was really taken like
I'm gonna start using that one. Bless your
no,
heart.
bless your heart. It's not.
Oh, actually, in Greek, it's the same thing. When my boss sneezes and I say bless your heart, he goes, in Greek, that's fuck you. Or no, that's go to hell. That's go to hell.
No,
So-
it's what I equated to, and it's perfect, and it's so true. Like you would go to parties or whatever, and like, in my 30s, I'd go to mommy parties and everybody would be drinking wine or whatever, and it would be very cliquey, and then whatever, you would say something and it'd be like all the Southern girls over here and like me and maybe some other off kilter person. And then it'd just be like, I learned as the years went on that, they just like, oh, bless your heart. But they were all in it. It was like a clicky thing. So you would walk away
Oh,
and I
wow.
would be like, the nerve of her, or can you believe that? And yeah, it's totally a fuck you. Always have. A lot of the people who move from the north to the south and hear that, they're like, oh, they must
How
really,
sweet.
they're so sweet. It's not what it is.
So we have the choices to either act that way or react that way or not. And as you're feeling these things, remember how reactive it is on our systems and what it's doing to
Mhm.
us. It's physically making us ill, where most of the people, especially up here and around, because everybody here is fast or whatever, they wouldn't even believe me probably for the first minute, like, oh, if you're doing that, that's like changing the whole digestive vibration and stuff. And they're like, what? No, that can't be true. I'm like, okay, let's see how that's working for you. But we start to believe after a while, when things are starting to work as we're starting to change, then we believe, because the reward, triggered habit reward, is really reinforcing this new development, this new way of being.
And what
So
is our
that's what-
reward? You're saying our reward is that we've handled it eloquently and
Well, because you
calmly?
physically get like a dopamine rush. So the more and more dopamine, so the dopamine can come from eating Doritos or doing like the other things that actually give that response in the brain, that trigger habit reward. As we get to the reward, whatever the reward is, that physical, that actual hormonal release in your brain starts to reinforce that habit. So whatever it is, so now we're choosing better habits. The old habits were reinforced because the dopamine response was just as high from that bad response. So as we change the habit to something better, the trigger's still there, the habit is changed, but the reward is still coming in a positive way now because it's a positive
It's interesting.
habit.
That's how I felt when I made a conscious choice to like, no, I'm not drinking tonight. No, I'm not drinking tonight. No, I'm not drinking tonight. Once I got to like day 6 and 7, felt very rewarded.
Yes, because your brain was getting this feedback loop.
Mhm.
The more
Yeah,
you give the
I made
feedback,
a right choice, and I was
Yeah.
like, proud
and
of
you
myself.
felt good about it. So
Yeah.
that endorphin, that dopamine response to that trigger starts to make that habit more of a loop, because the reward is strong enough and it's physically strong enough in the dopamine response in our brain. So we have to get that dopamine response high enough to where we want to keep enforcing that loop over the old loop. And that's how change happens. That's how we evolve. That's how our personalities change. That's how we physically and genetically, we genetically change our makeup by changing these habit loops. And that's how we physically change. Turning on good genes, bad genes, turning off things like that. That's how we increase our vitality and decrease disease. It's all like scientifically proven now and measured. There's metrics to it. And that's where we're going. We're on that bus.
Yeah.
The bus has left the station and we're on it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any closing thoughts? Let's leave on that. Good. We're on the dopamine high. Our rewards are going to keep reinforcing the trigger habit. Well, the trigger's there, or create the trigger to the new habit to get the reward, to change
So
our thinking.
Trigger, habit, reward, or is it trigger, reward, and habit?
Trigger, habit, reward, but it can be the same thing as the thinking, opportunity, results. As you change one, the other two start to get you to shift. So it's usually technically written by the authors and the psychologist. It's the trigger that makes the habit, generates a reward. And you want that cycle loop to continue. And you want that dopamine response. You want to, so as you're doing something that you're changing, physically feel it for a minute, feel the emotion, make it some kind of a positive feeling. That's where you're going to get the dopamine. And you want that dopamine release to reinforce that good habit or something you're trying to achieve.
So
And
you're
as you,
saying when we do something like we don't have the drink, or
Mhm.
we put brush our teeth and put the night guard in,
Yes,
then we should immediately praise ourselves for
absolutely.
making
Yes.
that
Absolutely.
decision. And like, woohoo, I did it.
And,
know,
and physically do like the, and physically do like
Got a
what the kids do
dopamine
for a minute.
rush.
Yes, go like, okay, no one saw that, right? Okay. Like make yourself connect with the emotion. That's what shoots up the dopamine. So as we, do other things that are like those, little less desirable habits, we like it. Like and then it hits. But food is being genetically modified and stuff now, which is really not fair because it's giving that same, they figured out the chemistry in the food to release dopamine.
That's what they were
Just-
talking about. Doritos
Which
there's
is
a little
unfair.
chemical
Yeah.
component like in Doritos that gives you like some dopamine high or something.
And
Are
it
you
actually,
serious?
actually is the same chemistry makeup as calcium in our body, and our body needs calcium. So it's craving Doritos because it's a false sense of calcium. Like that's wrong. Like that we're allowed to do that. That's not right.
So this is
That's
a
really
kind of an
wrong.
aha thing, right? Because when I do the behavior that I want to do, I don't generally celebrate or praise myself.
That's one of the biggest things you have to do.
What I do is like, I kind of grotz about it. Okay, I did it, but I didn't like it, or
Yep.
I
Don't
wanted
begrudge
to.
yourself that. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't praise or reward myself.
Right.
I
You're
either
thinking
just-
of it as what you didn't do or what you're not
Yes.
allowed to have.
Yes, yes.
You have to, if you can, shift that. Like that's the gap in the game too. Every little thing we do, praise yourself that minute for it. You want that dopamine rush to create that, so the loop to connect. It could be the stupidest thing. I mean, if somebody followed
Yeah.
me around with a camera on my head during the day, be pretty silly. Like even if I finish a task or write up, something for work or get it done and close the book, I'm like, yes, because now I've got 30 minutes to work on my course or something. And I physically go, "Damn, I did it." And I move on because I want to keep reinforcing the loop.
Yeah, I mean, I am actively learning to do that and been doing it for years now because I live alone now. I'm single. I'm not married anymore. I don't have anybody else in my house to say, "Hey, I'm proud of you. What a great job you did." You have to hear that on the daily. Every human craves that. So if you're not getting it from
Well,
partner
I've
or
been
something,
single
you
my
gotta hear it to
entire life.
yourself. You got
I've
to
been
give it to
single my
yourself.
whole life, and I haven't been telling me how great I am, and neither
Well,
has
you got to
anybody
start,
else.
girl. You
You
got to
have to.
start.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We think you're wonderful.
We think you're.
We
wonderful.
know you've got potential. You're a badass in your own self. We're all badasses. We know this is where we want to go, and this is how we're going to create it.
That is a little nugget that I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to
Look at
experiment
yourself.
with.
Look at yourself in the mirror. Straight at yourself in the mirror and talk to
So
yourself.
you got it. Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
Hmm.
I remember when
interesting.
I was going through my divorce and I was so like virtually dead inside, dead. I was walking around like a dead person zombie. I can remember on occasion I would stop at the mirror and I would just stare at myself and I would just look, I would literally slap myself in the face to
Snap
feel
at it.
something, to feel something, like some emotion, something. Staring in
Right.
the mirror is can be not just not like we look in a mirror every day, yes, to brush our teeth, to fix our hair, put on our makeup, but really look at yourself as if that person is another person and you're having a conversation with.
And it's a
really
beautiful
powerful
person.
to look at yourself in the mirror as a being, not just a reflection of, a tool to put your makeup on. It's really powerful. It really is. So do that. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself how proud you are and that you, for whatever you accomplish or whatever. It's a really powerful
Mhm.
thing, I think.
And you have to keep praising every little win, every single tiny little win that you can be conscious of during the day. Praise it. Praise it, like every silly little thing. Like give yourself a little yes, or high five yourself or something. Reinforce. That's right. Pat on the back.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Is everybody still there? I'm just curious. Haven't heard anything.
I'm
from
right
Ashley.
here. I just
Her
Is
phone
Ashley
is not.
still there? Or we
No,
stupid
Ashley had to leave.
video
Ashley
thing
had to
won't
jump off.
work. She had to leave.
Well, I don't see your face, Maureen. You're still somewhere, but
No, because when I put the
Use
video
the
on, I don't know if you
iPhone.
guys, if you get to see how many times, Deb, it kicks me out like every couple minutes and then I come back in.
Yeah.
So I don't even attempt to do the video anymore.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I need a new phone. Is this my excuse to go get one?
Yeah, go get a new phone.
well, thank you,
I
Debbie.
think
All
so.
right, ladies, are we empowered
Thanks,
again?
everybody.
Yeah. Look, you got that. I think that's there's like a sign. There's a giant ladder up to greater power, greater heaven up there behind. We're just gonna keep crawling up that ladder. Just keep
Yep.
crawling up the ladder.
Yes, we
Absolutely.
are.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. I feel better. Thank you.
Yay.
Good
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Excellent. Look at my agenda. Did I hit everything?
Oh, Deb.
Yep. Yes.
Do you have information? Or are you going to send us information on the soap? Because I don't really know anything about it. The so-called cleanse.
Oh, the
thing.
detox. Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't get the email.
I don't
You didn't
think
get the
so.
email? I sent
When
out.
did you send it?
I sent it out last week, and then I sent out one again on Sunday, I think.
Oh, really?
All
Well,
right.
I sent you the one that said that it was trying to make me pay
Yeah, I have to.
$150.
So I went into. I changed it again this morning, so I think Ashley got in.
Okay.
I went in and overrode those for right now. So, but
say, what's it? Just say detox on it? What does it say?
yeah,
What's the-
it's optimized life detox, I think, but I'll
Yeah,
resend them to
I
you.
got it.
Okay.
Welcome.
Okay.
It was Tuesday. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
does it give you all the
Welcome to
information
your
on what it
optimized
is? Mm,
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to read it.
And then the second one, I think that I sent out, what was the
Not gonna
Sunday one
commit
was the
knowing
welcome.
Yeah.
What this involves.
Oh, it's simple, but it's everybody hears the word detox and cleanse and they go,
We've already
"Ah."
done it. Yeah. It's not as scary as I thought originally. So it's okay.
But it's like a life detox.
It's
right?
everything.
Cleanse,
It's
yeah.
it's
It
like
is. It's everything.
it's declutter life.
Okay.
It's
Everybody
not
was-
starve, like I said on the last one.
Yeah.
It's not starve, it's recharge.
It's not like we had to drink red pepper and lemon juice for the next 6 weeks.
No.
No, but actually you
Okay.
can drink spicy water. Some people need the spicy water. I actually did that spicy lemonade. I did that one cleanse like
What do they
a
call
couple
that?
years ago.
What do they call it? Yeah, it was big.
Spicy lemonade, I think. I actually
Or
really
it was
liked
just
it.
called lemonade. Yeah, it was spicy, like cayenne pepper, right?
Yep.
And,
A little bit of
tried it
maple
once.
syrup.
I couldn't handle it. Oh
It was
yeah,
amazing.
I couldn't handle it. but-
Pulls shit, gets things moving. All right, ladies,
Guys,
you
back
have
again.
a wonderful
Good,
evening.
Debs, thanks.
And
Good night, everybody. Thank you,
All right.
Laura.
I get
Good
to go see
night.
Miranda this
Wow.
weekend. It's the baby's one.
Oh, when did
Oh
you
my
say you were
God. I
coming
can't
down
believe she's
here?
won already.
When did you say you were coming to?
I'll be
Katy?
in South Carolina the 14th, the Monday to Friday, 14th to the 18th, I think it is.
What? March?
March,
Oh shoot.
like a week and a half.
18th. Okay, I gotta put it in my calendar. Okay.
All right, ladies,
All right.
All right. Love you
you're all
Have a great
beautiful. I love
week.
you. Have a great
right.
night. Have a great week.
See you
All
soon.
right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Talk with you
See ya.
next week. Bye.
Bye.